realize, Jared Markle, do you realize how fortunate you were to come under the tutelage of the instructors that you had at the shooting education camp when you were growing up?
I do.
Oh, you appreciate that?
Yeah, I do appreciate it.
Because Emily Miller, you know who Emily Miller is? Emily Gets Her Gun or something like that. And she posted a photo that she took in a magazine here, and yes, I'm looking at it on the computer. And it says, shooting a shotgun accurately is the easiest thing in the world if you remember two things. First, you never aim the gun. Okay. Especially, you shouldn't look at the bead on the end. It says da-da-da-da-da. Second, you should try to miss.
What?
To the extent you aim, blah, 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 it is paramount that you try to miss the target.
What?
Unless you're shooting at empty air, you'll never hit anything.
What?
After explaining these principles, Chris Botha, acknowledged to be one of the best and most experienced shooting coaches in the world, looks around for questions. Yeah. Oh, okay, I'm not even going to get into that. I just thought that was interesting, and I hope that you appreciate the world-class instruction that you were able to get from the 4-H shooting sports coaches that you got. Yeah. Welcome back to Student of the Gun Radio, hippies. I am your host, Professor Paul Markle, and yes, I am in the Glass Case of Emotion studios. We hope that you took a moment to appreciate the Best Of show that we put up yesterday for you, the Sermon on War. It seemed very, very appropriate. And those of you that didn't listen to it because you just saw the title, you missed out on something. You really need to listen to the entire show to understand how that works in with the whole Memorial Day theme. And we hope that you took the opportunity during the long weekend to take a moment to appreciate the freedoms you have and why you have those freedoms, why you're able to embrace the blessings of liberty that you are. And it's because that people who went before you, men that went before you, paid the ultimate sacrifice so that you could do what it was that you did this weekend, whatever it happened to be. So welcome back. Now, it is Tuesday, and since we did a Best Of show yesterday, what we're going to do is we're going to make up for it. We're going to do a Warrior of the Week, the SWAT Fuel Warrior of the Week. We always do it on Mondays, but because it was a holiday, we're going to do it today. We're going to talk about the sandwich makers are back at it again, and they're speaking from scripts like robots. It's just pathetic, but we wanted you to hear it. And we got an excellent Go Team moment that you folks may have heard of or seen via social media because it's been all over the place. Has it not?
Yeah, it has. It's pretty awesome.
Since I think it was last Friday or Saturday that I saw it for the first time, and since then I've probably seen it repeated half a dozen times.
Yeah, that's the first time I saw it. I was like, "Yes, that's awesome."
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and one of our compatriots, or not really our compatriots, somebody who's in the business had to point out the racial demographic of it. Couldn't just call it like men.
Yeah.
They had to point out the black and white and black of it.
And it was
why has it got to be black? That's what I want to know.
It was black man holds old frail white man at gunpoint.
Is that what it said?
Yeah, something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I was like, seriously? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's kind of pathetic that you have to say that. But it wasn't us. It was somebody else. Somebody that you know, because we've talked about him, but we're not going to beat that horse anymore. Are you ready to get into it? Well,
yeah.
Before we get into it, let's go ahead and talk about a little bit about what you did over the weekend. I hope you guys...
What did I do over the weekend?
Over the holiday weekend? Over the 3-day weekend? Worked?
Yeah, pretty much.
Fixed your truck?
Did some yard work. I fixed my truck. Got to go get my tags and stuff now, though. What else did I do? I read a little bit. Went to a friend of the family's graduation party.
Oh, okay.
It was a dinner thing at the Lookout restaurant. Have you been there?
No.
Oh, it was pretty good.
Where is it?
It's on 49.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. For those of you that don't know the geography of southern Mississippi, you probably don't care.
They can Google it.
Yeah, they can Google it. I was going to wait till the end of the show to talk about this, but what the heck? I'll talk about it now because, we usually get really deep into the weeds during the show. A good friend of mine recommended a book to me. We were having a phone conversation. We were talking about liberty. We were talking about veterans. We were talking about the experience of being in the military and how that changes your perception of things. And he said, well, it's kind of like that one scene or that one chapter from Starship Troopers. And he was explaining it to me, and I had to admit, I said, not familiar. And he said, you've never read the book Starship Troopers? And I said, well, I know about the movie. And he said, no, stop. He stopped me. He said, the movie is not the book. He said, the movie has the same name as the book, and a small percentage of the plot has to do with the book. He said, but the book is nothing like the movie. And the book is written by a gentleman who has left us, but his name was Robert A. Heinlein. And you're thinking, oh, I'm a gun dude or a gun chick, and I've heard the name Robert Heinlein. Now, for those of you that are hip, just bear with me. Robert Heinlein was a science fiction writer, but before he was a science fiction writer, before he was an author, he was also a U.S. naval a veteran. He went to the Navy Academy in the 20s. And he actually got sick, and he was discharged from the naval service before World War II. But he became a writer, and there's a lot. If you type in the words Robert A. Heinlein or Robert Heinlein, there's a ton of quotes from him. And one of them that gun people love to throw around is that a quote that says, an armed society is a polite society. And that's actually only about half of the quote. But I've seen that reprinted over and over again. I've seen it in magazines. I've seen it, of course, online in the last 20 years or so. And I have to admit that, having read that, and how many of you out there, you see a quote or you hear a quote or you read it and you regurgitate it over and over and over again, never knowing where it came from. Kind of like the one from King Arthur and his his knights, This is the Law, that I often use by John Steinbeck. This is the Law. How many people knew where that came from? I actually had to research it many years ago to figure out where it came from. Well, here's what I'm going to do for you guys, because you guys are always looking for recommended reading, and this is an easy one. If you're a patriot and you're like, well, I'm not into science fiction, I don't care. I'm not really into science fiction either. I'm not a science fiction geek. And it's not so much science fiction-y like Star Trek-y or Star Wars, fiction novels. They have like 800 different Star Wars fiction novels and so forth. This book was written in 1959, but I'm going to tell you this. Perk up your ears now. When you read this book, and you're going to read it because you're a smart student of the gun, and if you already have, you're with me and you're down with it, and you're sitting there and you're scooting around in your chair, you're like, oh, I know what he's going to say. This book was written in 1959, and Robert Heinlein was like a freaking Nostradamus. The situations that he describes, the future situations that he describes in the book, is where we find ourselves right now. The problems that he talks about in the book, he refers to the 20th century as the Roman numeral XX century. That's how they refer to it in the book. Basically, so the 20th century. And he talks about the problems that they were having in the 20th century and how they led to the downfall of society and had to be reconstructed. And what he said, and this, he wrote this in 59. And what he wrote applies today. Your mind is going to be blown when you read this book. You're going to be like, holy crap, this guy was like a fortune teller. He knew. And think about it. Back in 59, things were pretty good in the United States. The dirty, disgusting, smelly, lazy hippies hadn't really taken hold yet. It was the Eisenhower administration, or shortly after the Eisenhower administration. Now Eisenhower's like 52, right? I'm trying to, or 52 to 60, I think. Anyway, but it was a good time to be an American. The World War II veterans had come home. They were chugging along. The economy was going like gangbusters. Guys were going to college, and they were building homes, and they were starting families. And, it was see the USA in a Chevrolet, and everybody had a car, everybody had a house, everybody had little kids, and it was a good time to be an American. But Heinlein wrote this book, and he essentially predicted the future. He predicted what was going to happen and what currently is happening in the United States of America. So, without further ado, this is your reading assignment. I want you to get onto Amazon or Books A Million or whatever. And the original book is called Starship Troopers. Now, he did a series, but the first Starship Troopers was published in 1959, and there's been innumerable reprints. The one that I purchased from Amazon, I think, was done in the paperback was done in 87. And as soon as I'm done with it, Jared's going to be reading it.
And speaking of the grad program, grad parties and Nostradamus and stuff like that, remember next week we've got the whole grad week. We've got a list of celebrities that we're going to be interviewing for you guys. We've got the first one's James Yeager. Second one, we've got Massad Ayoob, and we've got Bill Wilson, and then Dave Spalding. We'll top it all off on Friday, I believe, right?
Yep. Tuesday through Friday, a whole grad week.
There will be a public radio broadcast on Monday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is only grad program.
Yeah, we've been planning this for a while now. We actually, to tell you the truth, you want to know the truth, the interviews are already in the can. They're done. They're put together. They're edited. They're ready to go. Think about it like this. Think if you could be a fly on the wall listening to Paul Markel and Dave Spalding, sharing a beer somewhere or an adult beverage or a cigar or something, and we're just having a conversation about lots and lots of stuff. And these aren't little short interviews. These are full episodes. These are like 45, 50-minute episodes. Sometimes we might have even gone almost an hour on one or two of them. We had a lot to say.
Yeah, I would say we went an hour on a couple of them. So,
all right, and that's coming up. That's coming up next week. You do not want to miss that. We've actually been recording in the studio. We've got some videos for the grad program. We're reorganizing the grad program. We're going to be offering even more content to you, the listeners. It's going to be something that you're not going to want to miss. Now, are you ready over there? Are we ready to get into the meat and talk about who our Warrior of the Week is, our SWAT Fuel Warrior of the Week?
Yeah, we can be.
All right, do it.
How's it going? This is Chris from the People's Republic of California. If you find yourself in a confrontation where you decide to use a non-lethal or less lethal force option such as OC spray, and it is ineffective and the threat is still present, is that reason to escalate to deadly force?
That was a good question.
And you want to tell him what he needs to do?
Yep. I need you to go ahead and email Alex, ALEX, at studentofthegun.com. Send her your name, obviously, your mailing address, your phone number, and include your email typed in the body, please. And that gets you a free bottle of 9mm plus P.
Yeah, and the good news is you can still get that in the People's Republic of California.
Yeah.
They're still allowing it.
Yep.
So very
and
cool.
Thank you for calling in and leaving a voicemail for us so we can play it on the radio.
And if you want to do that,
if you want to do
number?
that, you call 682-207-7684 or 682-207-SOTG.
And leave your question. And you guys are doing a really good job with brevity and getting directly to the point. So good job, folks. Question: if you use a less than lethal,
real quick, I just want to let them know if I don't pick your question like immediately after you call, like next week, then it's still in the queue. I've got a box full right now. We might get to it eventually. So if you call and leave a question, I don't use it immediately. It might still be used.
Okay. Well, and the questions that we pick, we try to give the broadest outreach. If somebody calls from Maine and says, "What do I need to do to get a Maine concealed carry permit?" That's great for people in Maine, but it doesn't really help out anybody else in the world. So we try and pick the questions that will help out the most people, or the subjects will help the most people. So this one right here, if I'm using what if I'm using a less than lethal, I choose a less than lethal, and it doesn't work or it's not effective, can I go to deadly force? Well, it depends. If you, we used to do this in police training where you would start out low, you'd try and do somebody refused to get out of their chair, and so you try and pressure point control tactics, and they jump up out of their chair and they pull a knife out of their pocket, and you're like, oh crap, that went from really low giving commands and pressure points to now I'm going to have to shoot you in 5 seconds. And that can happen. As far as OC spray is concerned, a lot of people are like, yeah, but what if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't work? Well, the truth of the matter is you're doing them a favor. You're being a nice guy. And I used to say this. I used to say, when I taught OC to cops, and I would say, when you spray them, you're actually being nice to them. And they would chuckle, and they're like, oh, yeah, I'm being nice to them. I'm like, no, seriously, because the other option is for them to get hit with something. It's not like, well, I'm either going to pepper spray you or you're just going to go away. And when you're trying to, as a police officer, you're trying to effect an arrest of someone, a combative individual, they're going to get arrested. It's kind of like, well, you're going to jail, but the condition that you're in when you reach the jail is 100% up to you. You can either go there unscathed or you can go there with bruises or your eyes watering and burning. It just, or you can go to the morgue. It's 100% up to you. So as a citizen, you are thinking, well, yeah, that's cool, Paul, but I'm not arresting people. I got you. What if I spray someone with OC or I spray it at them and it doesn't seem to work? What do I do then? Well, get to work doing something else. It may not necessarily have become a deadly force situation. Just because you spray OC at someone and you don't think it's working, that doesn't mean you're like, oh, it didn't work. Bam, bam, I get to shoot them now. No, not quite. Not quite. The one thing that you want to keep in mind, though, is some people, when they encounter this thing called the use of force continuum, and it's what's taught to police officers and professional security people. And every once in a while, citizens will be made aware of the use of force continuum. And when they see it, they get kind of bunged up because the use of force continuum says if the person is doing A, then you can do B, and so forth, starting all the way from verbal commands and then moving up to deadly force with a firearm. And everything that's in between, batons and pepper spray and tasers and all that other stuff, right? And a lot of folks think, well, at first glance, they believe that before they're allowed legally to use a gun, that they have to go through all the other steps. I have to try this, and I have to try this, and I have to try this. It's not it at all. Your reaction or what you do is based solely upon the actions of the bad guy. If the bad guy jumps out with a hammer and raises it over his head and says, I'm going to effing kill you, that's not the time to, work your way through the scale. That's deadly force, and you need to deal with it quick, fast, and in a hurry. Well, it's only a hammer. Okay, it's only a hammer. How many times will you let me hit you in the head with this hammer? 0? Okay, there you go. Now, could it be a situation where the person, you spray them with pepper spray and they draw a weapon, pull out a knife, pull out a gun? Well, yeah, you might have to shoot them. The trick is for to think about it beforehand, which you obviously are doing. You're obviously giving this thought, which is very important because you don't want to just be making it up on the spot. Even though you're going to have to deal with that individual situation, because you weren't expecting when you walked out of Chili's to go to your car that a guy would come out of the parking lot and say, hey, buddy, give me all your money or whatever. You weren't expecting that, but there it is. What you want to be thinking about is if then. It's the old computer speak. It's the old programmer speak. If they do this, then I will do that. But before you do that, you also have to be justified in your brain, in your mind, as to what you are allowed to do by the courts and by society. What am I allowed to do? You know, the guy that won't leave you alone at the, you're at the bar and grill and a dude's like, hey, man, you got $5? Come on, I know you got $5. Give me $5, man. Come on, man. If you whip out your Roscoe and shove it up his nose, that might be seen as going a little bit too far, depending on the circumstances, Or the person that jumps out of their car and is screaming at you that you stole their parking space. Generally, society frowns on shooting those people, even though that might be a good life lesson and they'll stop doing that crap. From that point forward, society frowns upon that. So you need to know, what you're lawfully, able to do, lawfully allowed to do, and consider that beforehand. A lot of folks will have a gun on them and then they won't use it because they don't understand deadly force. They don't understand what's behind it. We've had several situations that we related where somebody got the absolute crap kicked out of them but had a gun on them. And they're like, oh, they didn't use their gun. And you're like, why didn't they? Well, I can tell you exactly why that is, because they're probably like one of tens of hundreds of thousands of other people that went out, bought a gun, stuck it in their pocket, and said, okay, I'm good to go now. I have a gun. And therefore, all of my problems, all of my safety and security problems have been solved by the mere possession of a gun. And I think we know that that's not the case at all. So good question. Can you use deadly force after pepper spray if it doesn't work? Well, not if they still only present a non-lethal threat. But if you juice somebody and then they pull a knife out of their pocket or grab a bat and start swinging at your head, well, then it just changed from less than lethal to lethal force, and you need to meet that with lethal force as well. So good question. Don't forget to send in your name and all your info so you can get your SWAT Fuel Plus P. You want to do it. And thanks, obviously, to our buddies at SWAT Fuel for being the SWAT Fuel Warrior of the Week sponsor.
And you guys want to remember that no matter what situation you're in, you need to check the three boxes: ability, opportunity, and intent.
Yeah, that's right.
And if you guys don't know what we're talking about, you can get the Armed Living DVD. Go to studentgungear.com. Dad did an entire DVD of basically use of force and different types of stuff, different gear. He talks about gear. I don't even remember what all you talk about. There's so much stuff. Just go to studentgungear.com and click on the Armed Living
Now,
DVD.
do they have to wait until the physical one gets mailed to them?
No, you can pick either to have one mailed to you so you can have it in your hands, or you can get an instant download, and it gives you a link that you can click in your email, and you go to this little page, you need to download the video, and you can take it with you on your phone, on your iPad, on anything.
Hey, did you know we have a PA?
Do we?
Mm-hmm. Are you a PA? Yes, I am. Can I get you something?
Oh, yeah.
Can you ask the PA to bring me some cream for my coffee?
Oh, it's black?
It's black.
Why is it got to be black?
I don't know why it's got to be black. I like a little bit of mochaccino in mine. A little bit of color. So, well, before we get any further, thank you to SWAT Fuel, obviously, and thank you to all you guys for tuning in here on a Tuesday. We hope you enjoyed that long weekend. You're like, man, I got to get back into it. Yes, you do. You got to get back into it. But we're here with you. We're slugging along with you. And we want to thank our friends at Frog Lube. Frog Lube, it just works. If you want a minty fresh gun that works all the time and isn't rusty, Frog Lube is where you need to go. Check them out at froglube.com. Century Arms, the makers of the C39, 100% made in the USA AK. They've got a brand new website. If you haven't been there lately, go check those guys out as well. And if you have a gun, even if you don't have a gun, Brownells has got something for you, don't they, Jared? They do. Yeah, they got water, they got food, they got emergency supplies, they got all that jazz, and it's just 1 or 2 clicks away. So go to Brownells.com. And yes, especially if you're a frequent flyer at Brownells and you're not signed up for the Edge program, I don't know what you're waiting for, because how many of you guys out there, you make purchases like a couple of times a month? You find yourself at Brownells.com. You're like, I got to get one of these, I got to get one of those, I got to get a couple of these. Just go ahead and sign up for the Edge program, and eventually you're going to save yourself money over the year.
I almost forgot to mention, go to studentthegunradio.com, click on the show notes for this episode, which is SOTG 178. Click on the show notes, go in there, look for the SWAT Fuel store link. click on that, and you can go, if you want to make an order, you can save 10% with the promo code SOTG2015.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you for picking up on that, Jared. All right, let's talk about our sandwich makers are at it again. That's right. Nanny Bloomberg's call girls are at it. And this time, they're in Texas. And you're like, well, what's going on in Texas? Isn't Texas already pretty much good to go? Well, they are, but apparently there are those nasty little hives of psycho-liberalism in Texas. You've got Austin, and then you've got Houston. And Dallas-Fort Worth is kind of it fluctuates back and forth, but definitely Austin and Houston are full of liberal puke faces and scumbags. So you've got these basically like forward operating bases for Nanny Bloomberg's sandwich makers and scumbags there. And this story comes to us from Breitbart.com. And the title of the story is Moms Demand Action, Bloomberg's Stepford Robots in Texas. And you're like, well, what are these chicks doing? Well, one of the big things that they're trying to do in Texas, and the new governor said that, hey, if you guys send me an open carry bill, I'll sign it. So get it together and send it to me. Well, even though this is the psycho thing about the Moms Demand Action, this is the psycho thing about it, that if even though they have concealed carry and Texans can carry guns, they can't see them. Well, they're trying to get the ability to open carry them, and that's got them all afraid. It's got them tinkling in their oversized bloomers. They're all tinkling because they're afraid that citizens will be allowed to openly carry guns, and that's just got them all scared. And they're also 100% against the campus carry law, which would allow adult human beings it would give them the opportunity to not be good victims and to carry a gun, whether they're on a college campus or not on a college campus. Because despite evidence to the contrary, what we've found here is that somehow we're still with the same lie about gun-free zones and safety and this and that and the other. Folks, have we not addressed the lie of gun-free zones yet? Haven't we? We've addressed that, right, Jared? I mean, I think we have. But the moms still haven't gotten it, and they're all a Twitter. Now, this is when you know that you've got a bunch of how many of you older folks remember the Stepford Wives movie? Now, there was an original Stepford Wives movie that was done when I was a kid. And then they redid it with Matthew Broderick here a while later and Nicole Kidman. But essentially you have these men have gotten together, and evil men got together, and they came up with this misogynistic way to hypnotize or replace their wives with these subservient wives. And I want you guys to listen to this robot. These moms file into the house, and they have their scripts already. If you don't believe that this is a orchestrated event, listen to this.
My name is Anna, and I am a supporter of Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America.
My name is Lisa Epstein. I'm a supporter of Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America.
Good afternoon. My name is Susan Panchovsky, and I'm a supporter of Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America.
My name is Sandy Twidwell, and I'm a supporter of Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America.
And I'm a supporter of Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America as well.
My name is Hillary Whitfield, and I'm a supporter of Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America.
Hello. My name is Lindsay Banning. I'm also a member of Moms Demand Action.
Hi there.
So Bloomberg's call girls, they walk into this thing. There's like, I don't know, a dozen, 15 of them, and they're all wearing their matching shirts. And they hand them these pieces of paper, these scripts, and the only thing that there's a blank on it for them to put their name in so they can remember what their name is. So it says, hello, blank, insert name here. My name is Susie Rottencrotch, and I am a supporter of. And so they sit in front of the microphones. Now, Do I believe that every American citizen, every voter, every registered voter, every taxpayer has the right to go before their civic leaders and to express their opinions? Yes, I do. And I think that those should be your personally held opinions and experiences and beliefs. Do I think it is a complete and total waste of time to march a bunch of Stepford wives, a bunch of Stepford moms, a bunch of robots in here to have 15, 20 of these twits read the exact same script? Yeah, I think it is. It's disgusting. It's offensive. It's offensive that I guess we're supposed to be that stupid. We're supposed to believe that, my name is Susie, and I'm a supporter of Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, well, Paul, they just gave them the script so that they could introduce themselves properly. Then they went on and they gave their own individual experiences and they discussed their own individual, feelings about it. No, Jared's got another clip where they continued to speak like robots. Go ahead and you got clip 2 rolled up for me there?
I do.
Okay, hit it.
I also want you to know that regardless of whether this bill passes or not, thousands of moms and I will be organizing in our communities, and we will be back.
And I want you to know that regardless of whether or not this bill passes, thousands of moms and I will be organizing in our communities, and we'll be back here in the interim to reduce gun violence in this state.
I want you to know that regardless of whether or not this bill passes, thousands of moms and I will be organizing in our communities, and we'll be back here in the interim and next session fighting to reduce gun violence in this state.
I just want you to know that regardless of whether or not this bill passes...
I just want you to know that regardless of what you Stepford moms and sandwich makers have to say, I don't need your permission. I don't need to be in the majority. I don't need your permission, honey. What? I don't need you to even like it. I don't even care if you do. The Constitution is not in place for the majority. And quite frankly, every bill, every law, and we talked about this last week in the What Does It Mean to Be an Armed Citizen? Every piece of legislation that inhibits a citizen's ability to protect themselves for self-preservation is unconstitutional. Well, you've got to be reasonable. No. The only way that they can get away with this crap is for people to allow them to get away with this crap. To just ignore it or shrug their shoulders or say whatever. We're not going to do that. We're not going to ignore it. We're not going to allow them to get away with it. We're going to point it out. And you need to point it out as well. And the next time you have a conversation or you encounter one of these Stepford robot-type chicks, you might want to remind them that, you know what, I understand that your husband doesn't pay enough attention to you, or you may not have a husband, or and that you're unsatisfied. You have an unsatisfactory home life. And I get that. And I'm sorry for that. But just because you've got all this extra time on your hands to be a shrew doesn't mean that I have to surrender my liberties as a citizen. So you can go away now. But before you do, make me a sandwich. All right. Well, we've got some good news, and I want to share this good news with you guys. Unless you want to talk about sandwich makers some more. Do you want to talk about sandwich makers some more? Call girls. Nanny Bloomberg's call girls. Is that offensive? Have we gotten any emails excoriating me for referring to Shannon as one of Nanny Bloomberg's call girls, as his favorite call girl?
No, I think that's funny.
I don't know if she relishes that title as her favorite call girl. I think that that Gabby Psycho Giffords is trying to replace that. Because she's got a cuckold that she drags around with her. Oh, did you go there? I did. Oh, man. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I went there. You know what? Before we go on to this next thing, what I find, I want to take a moment here, Jared, and I want to clear something up for you folks out there in the audience. apparently one or two of you got upset with me for the recent article that I did about the gun culture and the screwed up priorities.
Oh, well, they can suck it. Did I say that out loud?
No. Apparently, when I referenced how the peasants of said countries are simply disarmed tax slaves, and I guess it offended some people. But here's the deal. Are you disarmed? Are you a disarmed tax slave? Oh, no, I'm not. Okay, you can carry a gun on you. Well, no, we can't do that. All right, so you're a disarmed tax slave. Oh, no, I'm not. Are you part of the ruling class? Are you part of the elite? If you're part of the elite ruling class, okay, I take it back. But getting offended at the dude on the radio or the author of the article because you are currently in a situation where you've become a disarmed tax slave when you are a peasant that is 100% dependent upon the good graces of the ruling class, why are you mad at me? You need to be mad at your fellow citizens and yourself for allowing your country to fall into that state. So if you're in Australia or Great Britain or wherever where you've been turned into nothing but a tax slave, you ever examined an ant colony? Yeah. Go ahead and examine an ant colony and tell me where you fit in the colony there. Okay. All right, the next segment we're going to talk about is brought to us by Velocity Triggers, designed for precision. You got a black rifle? They got a trigger for you. Check out velocitytriggers.com. Crossbreed holsters, if you need to carry a gun, and you should be carrying a gun if you're a free citizen, unless you're a tax slave or a peasant, then you can't, so I guess the point is moot. But if you are a citizen and you desire to be armed, Crossbreed holsters can help you out. Can they not, Jared?
They can, definitely.
They absolutely
can. They have
can.
belts, they have holsters, they have bedside backups, they got
the bedside backup, which the gun can go from your bedside into your holster.
The purse carry. They got what you could carry on a bicycle.
What they call the purse deal?
Purse defender.
Purse defender. That's what they call it. The purse defender. And some of you metros up there I was going to say the metros up in New York might want to use one of those, but you can't carry a gun anyway. Sorry.
Oh.
Where else do we get email from upset metros? New York City. I don't know if we're allowed to. New Jersey, yeah. I don't know if they allow us to go into the city limits of New York City. They might block the signal.
Yeah.
If anyone's behind enemy lines listening to us, just knock on the wall 3 times. We'll know what you mean. We got a Go Team moment, and a Go Team moment obviously rates a Go Team moment theme song. That's why I say amen, nation. Well, this is another one where we had a good guy with a gun, but he didn't have to drop the hammer on this scumbag. But thank you to Filter anyway for the Go Team moment and a nice shot and all that good stuff. This came to us from Atlanta, and the source is WSB-TV2 Atlanta, and a man this was the middle of the day. He wasn't in a bad neighborhood. He didn't just come out of a bar. He was going to it was like the Dollar General or the Family Dollar. Oh, here we go. Parking lot of the Family Dollar in the middle of the day. He's going to stop in real quick, grab something, get back in his car. Some jackwagon, some douche nozzle decides he's going to rob this guy. What? No, that's not going to happen, Sparky, because the would-be victim in this case was packing heat, and he had something to say about it.
You went to bed and woke up stupid this morning, huh?
Only Channel 2 Action News obtained this video.
Yes, as he holds the, you gotta love this guy. Not only did he whip out his own Roscoe on this dude, and he said the dude thought he was just gonna leave when he...
I have to play this again.
Okay.
You went to bed and woke up stupid this morning, huh?
Only Channel 2 Action News.
Yep.
That, you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of General Honore during the Katrina, when the reporters kept asking him the same question, and he got frustrated with them, and he said, "You are stuck on stupid." You remember that? Stuck on stupid?
No.
That's been 10 years, I know, and you're a little kid, but you went to bed and woke up stupid this morning. So not only does he hold this guy at gunpoint, he makes him prone out on the parking lot, but then he gives him a good tongue lashing to go with it. And I got to tip my hat to this dude. So what exactly happened? So here we are, guys, middle of the day, stops to grab something, goes to get back in his car, and as he's doing that, this dude jumps into the passenger seat, right? And he told me, you know what this is. So the guy jumps into his car and looks at the driver and says, "You know what this is." And he said, "That's when I pulled out my gun." I said, I asked him to get out of the car. Well, that's not exactly what I said. In other words, I told him no, and he said he thought he was just going to leave. And I said, "No, there's no leaving. Leaving was before you hopped into my car. At this point, there is no leaving." So he proned this turd out on the ground, held him at gunpoint with his booger hook off of the bang switch, go team, and waited for Atlanta PD to arrive. Atlanta PD showed up, and if you guys need to watch the entire video if you haven't done so yet, you can go to studentofthegunradio.com and you can click on the link, watch the entire video. When Atlanta PD rolls up, he sees him rolled up, he points to the guy on the ground, he walks over, sets his gun down on the curb and shows the cops his empty hands. And by that time, they're up and they've got the bad guy. They're on him. One of the PD guys walks over to him, shakes his hand, tells him thank you, cuff the dude, take the statement, and they're off. So all around go team moment. And he said that he noticed this guy acting kind of hinky, and then when he popped in there, he's like, "Okay, I'm ready for you." But all the way around, a good thing. We had a guy who had the presence of mind to be armed, had the presence of mind, and you're like, now could he have, when this guy jumped in the car and said, "I'm stealing your car," could he have just popped him right then in his car? Yeah, but he probably didn't want to get blood all over the inside of his nice car, so there's that. But all around, good job.
I like how the reporter is like, "Oh, well, the car owner said that he would do it all again if he had to."
Well, duh.
No kidding.
What is he going to say? Well, if I had to do it again, I would just surrender and let him steal my car or stab me or whatever. But, yeah, so go team moment. We got a couple minutes left. And you know what, Jared? We haven't talked about, because to you it probably seems like it's been forever ago, because we had that long weekend piled in between the time we got back in front of the microphone again. We went to a concert Friday night.
Oh, yeah.
Jared and I and Jared's PA and Zachary, I got to fulfill a lifelong dream. Well, maybe not a lifelong dream, but basically.
Did Zach post pictures?
No.
Nobody posted pictures. But I don't think I got to take pictures because my phone was dying.
You're so dumb. Why is your phone always dead?
I got a little bit of video. It was late at night. My phone lasts all day, and then...
You're a dork. But we went to see Weird Al Yankovic at the Hard Rock in Biloxi. And you're like, what? Yeah, Weird Al Yankovic. Okay, I'm not ashamed. I've been a fan since I was 16, 17 years old.
It was a really good concert.
And, I guess I've been listening to him since probably 83, 84, that time frame. And I never thought that I would have the opportunity. Because he doesn't tour a lot. He tours in support of his albums, and he'll do one every 3 or 4 years. And because he's not as young as he used to be. He's not as old as Ted Nugent, but he's like 55 now. But for being a 55-year-old, does he have some energy?
Oh, yeah.
He
was moving around.
And normally Hard Rock concerts are 90 minutes. I'm almost to the second. They start at 8 and 9:30. They're like, "Thank you, Cleveland," and they're off the stage. He went almost a full 2 hours. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
It went till almost 10 o'clock. Full concert, fantastic showman. And these dudes, man, they worked. Not only did they play all the songs, but between not every song, but like every other one, they were changing costumes.
Yeah.
They would leave the stage, change costumes, come back on, do another one. They had a Jumbotron over the back of the stage where they played clips and they played the supporting videos. If there was a supporting video to go along with the song, they played that.
The only thing I didn't see that he was in was Family Guy. He was
the Family Guy reference?
Yeah. Was he in? Was there ever one of those?
Oh, you mean, was there one?
Yeah.
I don't
Family
know.
Guy. I know the Cleveland
there
show
was all
on
kinds.
there.
The Cleveland show reference.
That's how you know you've made it when Family Guy.
When Family Guy references you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But pretty much everywhere else. So it was a really good time. We had a great time, a little family event there, all the guys.
Yeah, it was cool.
And Zach enjoyed himself. And that is the great thing about Weird Al Yankovic's music, is that I've been able to share it. I discovered it obviously when I was a teenager, grew up, had kids, shared it with my kids, and it's been a cross-generational thing. And anytime you get to take your children to a concert and they appreciate it just as much as you do, or vice versa, it's a good time.
Yeah, I would probably travel to go. I would buy tickets and travel to go see him again. This is because I know that the show would be different.
Yeah.
Same songs, but the show would be different.
It was that good. So. Yeah. Well, all right. It's the clock on the wall, so it's time for me to shut my mouth for you to play the outro music. But we will be back tomorrow, Wednesday, and tomorrow we're going to talk about forces aligning themselves against you, and are you organized and are you prepared?
Yeah. Speaking of Weird Al, we're going to be talking about the Force tomorrow.
The Force. You're stupid. All right, folks. Remember, you're a beginner once, but you should be a student for life.